You're watching an episode of Spirits People Live with Johnny Michelson.
Hey guys, it's Johnny here. Thank you so much for checking out Spirits People Live, the series of live recordings from Instagram where I connect with spirits enthusiasts from around the world and we share our personal stories and our passion for fine spirits with you guys. In this episode, I'm talking to fellow Scandinavian Erik, also known as Northern Bourbon, right here on Instagram. Now, Erik is one of the co-founders of the Nordic Bourbon community, which is a Facebook group for American whiskey fans in the Scandinavian countries. In this video, we talk about our passion for bourbon, we talk about the different spirits markets in the Scandinavian countries, and also Erik shares with us how he finally got into the spirits business back in Stockholm where he's living. Now, I'm extremely thankful for Erik joining me in this video, and let's have a laugh with him trying to balance the phone throughout. That's not working so well. So again, thank you so much for watching and cheers.
For more videos, check out spiritspeople.com. Subscribe on YouTube and be sure to follow us on Instagram where we connect you with spirits people worldwide.
All right, here we go. Tuesday finally is back. Welcome, welcome. So, we'll see what happens today. We have a special guest, see if anyone joins. I am having an old-fashioned, as usual. Oh, that's good. All right, so Instagram saying that we're telling followers. All right, so while Instagram is doing that, I'll jabble along amongst myself while we wait for people to join. So today I am joined by Northern Bourbon, not to be confused with Northern_Bourbon, as my panic moment last week where I was trying to get my live stream to be exactly 1 hour. I did mistake them for each other, but they are obviously different people. The Northern Bourbon that I'm talking to today, what up, Tom Profit? Northern Bourbon that I'm talking to today is in fact in Sweden, whereas Northern_Bourbon is in Canada. They're both very northern and they're both very into bourbon. So not to be mixed, but very similar. However, today we'll be talking to Northern Bourbon, and he is a person who lives in Sweden, aka Swedish person. And for some of you guys, you'll know that I am from Denmark. So Danish people and Swedish people love and hate each other. So this should be this should be interesting. So we'll see what happens. So Erik, who is not only a really cool guy, unfortunately he's Swedish, but that's not his fault. So he is the co-founder of the Nordic Bourbon community, which I'm also part of. It's a Facebook group for Scandinavians who are really into the American spirit. And yeah, it's a really good community. It's quite active and it's growing. A lot of people have been joining there. So people from obviously Denmark, Sweden, Norway. We have people from Finland, Iceland and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really good community. And Erik is a co-founder of that. So we'll talk a little bit about that and then we'll talk about some other stuff. And hello, look who's here. Northern Bourbon himself. I hope you... So we were both rushing to make old fashions before this live stream, so I guess I was a little bit faster. All right, cool. So we'll see what happens. Erik and I have never met. We've talked together, obviously, on the Nordic Bourbon community, and we've chatted a little bit before to make sure that this could happen. And now we will officially meet live in front of everyone, make a fool of ourselves, and we'll do that while having a drink. And at the end, we'll give away some free stuff, as usual. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna try and, let's see. I think I know how to add people now. I've done it a few times. I'm trying to remember. Erik, I'll just send you a request, and then we'll see what happens. Bells and drams, what's going on?
No!
Oh, Eric,
Hey!
what's going on?
Oh, fantastic. It's my first time doing anything like this, and apparently it works.
Oh yeah,
Who knew?
right off the bat. I've seen a live stream of you and Linus.
Yeah, we did one on YouTube.
Yes, it was in Swedish, bro. I was trying to catch up, and I understand some. So yeah, that was
Yeah, well, we've been confusing Danes for a couple of years now.
We'll get into that. The good old feud.
Sure.
How's it going?
Fantastic.
Oh, yosh. You're like to the rim. I'm just halfway there. Big one. Big one on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers. Thanks for joining.
Cheers, man. Oh, of course. Thanks for having me.
So I was just explaining. Oh, where's my head? Hold on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this thing straightened out too.
Oh, there we go. So
Shaking iPhones for 1 hour.
Oh yeah, it's fucking. You need a little. I have a mini tripod here, but it's not the best. So we'll see.
I have a kitchen towel on top of a stack of books, and as you can tell, it's working fantastic.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I think that's what most people have though. While you struggle with that, I'll explain to everyone. I'll explain to everyone just once again, in case anyone has joined. I see Bourbon Patty's here. The Bourbon Nerd. All right, you're here.
Speaking of confusing Danes.
Yes. Henrik is here. So Henrik is a fellow Dane in the Nordic Bourbon community.
This is so professional.
This is going
so
to be
professional.
We should have practiced actually.
Well, it's the newer iPhones when they have the headphone jack at the bottom. It's impossible to get it to stand, of course.
Oh yeah, I never even thought about that. Anyway,
yeah, a little bit crooked.
What was I saying? I was saying that yeah. So you're one of the founders of the Nordic Bourbon community, which is really cool. And ever since I joined, there's a lot of people been joining, and it's kind of catching on. And I was hoping that as part of you being here, you could talk a little bit about how you got started, who other founders are involved, and like where all this stuff came from. Because obviously I'm, as most people know who follow this feed, I'm part of the British Bourbon Society, which is about 2,500 people, maybe sneaking up on 3,000 now.
Jesus Christ!
It's pretty big, and obviously American whiskey is massive outside of the US. And like now with these kind of channels, like we have a forum where we can kind of talk about it. So yeah, if you don't mind, like talking a little bit about like how you guys got started, just and we'll just ping it back and forth. Like there's no agenda. Absolutely.
So I came in contact with Linus, the other founder. Oh, Christ. I came in contact with Linus about, what could it be? 2-3 years ago, I think now. I joined the Bourbon Lovers Facebook group. I think. And I think I joined the Swedish chapter actually. Or if he told me about the Swedish chapter when I joined the global one. So I joined that as well, and that had about, I think, 80 to 100 members, but no real activity. A couple of active guys, I would say, but he was the one trying to make it happen. Yeah. And but we started talking about other stuff and started to talk about bourbon a lot, and met shortly after, and actually did a tasting together in his hometown.
Which is Uppsala, is it?
Yes, exactly. So he lives just right side of Uppsala, which is super close to Stockholm, where I live. So we did a couple of stuff and started talking, and he travels to the States a lot and gets a lot of stuff that I couldn't really imagine getting. So he really opened the world of bourbon to me. Right. So he is on Instagram. He is Bourbon Swedes. Yes, that is right. And it's called Bourbon Swedes because in the beginning we figured we should have a shared account for the stuff that we did together. But I did my thing and he did his thing, so he has his own account now, but it's still called the Bourbon Swedes.
Yeah. We get the gist. It says it all.
A minimum of one Bourbon Swede, I would say.
Yeah.
But we got to talking about doing something together to give the opportunity for people to find each other with a common interest as we did. Yeah. So we started to talk about how we would go about doing that, and figured that since we both really liked a couple of the bourbon groups on Facebook, that we should start one of our own that gathered the Nordic enthusiasts. Because there are Swedish bourbon groups, and there's actually, I think, a quite big Danish bourbon group.
Okay.
Not sure if there's any Norwegian or Finnish ones, but there should be. I can't imagine there to be an Icelandic one.
No, they wouldn't be able to afford it, nor would the Norwegians.
Oh, exactly. So we started the Nordic Bourbon Community Group with an idea that we just wanted it to be a meeting ground for Nordic enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And we wanted to gather the ordinary enthusiasts, and we wanted to gather bar people and people within the industry as well, and just keep an open discussion on any level. And we wanted something that would gather people, and something that would gather people around an idea as well. So we don't really want it to be individually heavy focused on either me or Linus. We want this to be something that can exist outside of our individualities.
Yeah.
So we actually wrote a manifesto.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been working with community building before. Okay. And figured that people gather around an idea more than they gather around other people.
Yeah.
Or at least other individuals. So we wrote a manifesto, which we talked about the different ideas and what we want to do with the Nordic Bourbon community. So the Facebook group is one part of it, and we also are looking into the business side of it. Yeah. And we're also looking into doing like lobbyist work, or doing work over the Atlantic, or with American communities or states or whatever brands.
Yeah.
But so far it's mainly a Facebook group, and we have just about over 100 members now.
Yeah, awesome.
We wanted it to grow organically and not just to fish people that weren't active. So I would say maybe 4th or 5th of the members are active members. And I think we're having fantastic discussions, and a lot of people giving each other tips on where to drink bourbon, or activities, or great deals, or.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, I think a lot of I actually, because I didn't join the British Bourbon Society from the very beginning, but I can see like some of the stuff that comes up in the Nordic community Facebook page. It's very similar to what I saw in the British Bourbon Society page, like very early on, and this is like maybe a couple of years back. So I think like you guys are definitely, I mean, like the success of what we're seeing over here with this group, which is primarily just for people in Britain or British people around the world, is similar to what you guys are doing. And I think I really have high hopes for it, because like now we have, and this is just the latest, I have it right here, so we have barrel picks, custom brands, and like all that, like everything that you're saying seems to be like things that you guys are already thinking about, and like in the weeds, which is not an easy task. Like it takes a lot of work behind the scenes, right?
Oh, it absolutely does. And especially in the Nordic countries, and I would say especially with me and Linus, the co-founders, both being from Sweden, we also have a very specific set of rules we have to work around with the monopoly, and also the high taxation of alcohol in Sweden. Yeah. So there's problems to be solved for sure.
Yeah.
But we're absolutely, without giving away too much, we're looking into almost any idea we have to realize most of the stuff that you've been doing with the British Bourbon Society, for example.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I saw that Linus has been over in the US and been hauling back some goodies. Is he going to share that stuff with you, or is he going to keep it to himself?
A man can dream. No, he's actually very, very, very nice and generous with what he brings back from the United States. And I've never been, actually. I've never been to the United States.
All right.
It's my lifelong dream to make the pilgrimage to Kentucky.
Cool.
Yeah. So one day we'll make that happen. But he's there a lot. He's there multiple times per year.
Okay.
Yeah. So he has this hunting lodge in Wisconsin. So he does hunting trips as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they've been starting to go to Kentucky. So he's taking meetings and meeting other Facebook groups and other social media personalities already.
Yeah.
Spreading the gospel.
Yeah, man. Go for it. Dude, yeah, I truly hope that you get to go to the States. It's a really unique experience going into a liquor store and just seeing like the wall of holy shit, where's all this stuff in Sweden or in Europe?
Denmark is exotic enough for me just seeing it outside of a monopoly run convenience store actually. So
yeah. So for fun facts, so you used to live in Denmark and I used to live in Sweden.
Yes, that's right.
So
sorry if I'm fidgeting with the phone, but it really bugs me that you can only see my forehead.
That's all right. I think
I'm listening.
Yeah. So we've both seen the other side of the coin. And when I lived in Sweden though, I wasn't really into whiskey. I was just like I would drink plenty of Storch Dark, but I wouldn't really get into the hard liquor. And this is quite a long time ago. But yeah, like I do understand the system and how it works, which obviously can be a challenge. So for people not familiar with the system, obviously it's a government-run system similar to like what you have in Canada with the LCBO and other states in the US where it's like government-run liquor stores. So that's how it runs in Sweden. That's how it runs in Norway. I'm not sure if it runs like that in Iceland. I'm not 100% sure.
All the Nordic countries except Denmark have some sort of a monopoly.
Okay. Yeah. So
but to which extent is different. Yeah. Denmark is more continental.
Yeah.
It's the bastard child. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some pretty good. So just talking about like Scandinavian and like availability, I was looking at whisky.dk. .dk is a Danish domain for people not understanding that. But yeah, so there's actually quite a bit of like accessible limited edition American whiskeys on some of those sites for when you look at it from other parts of the world at a really reasonable price.
Yeah.
So like some old Four Roses limited editions that you couldn't buy anywhere, you can go online in Denmark, you just buy them for like what would be less than an auction price, probably.
Yeah. I would say especially Four Roses have really good distribution in Denmark actually. You always get the limited edition small batches. I've seen multiple of the limited editions. Yeah, I haven't had that one yet. Really curious about it.
This is really good. I'll send you a sample. Don't worry.
Aww. No, but I've seen maybe 1 or 2 limited edition small batches over here, and they're really hard to come by. So there's apps. Yeah.
We have a comment here from Bobby's Windows, which is the same account as Drams and Drifts. He's based out of Canada and saying LCBO sucks. Well, I guess it's all relative, you know, like you have to deal with what you have. I know that, yeah, in the Canadian, what's it called? It's not called states. It's called regions or something. I can't remember. But anyway, so there's different allocations.
Help us out, chat.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so they get the, yeah. So he's
provinces?
We get the...
Yay!
Provinces, there you go. Nice one. Yeah, so they get the regular stuff, but yeah, obviously getting the harder stuff once it's government run is always more difficult. But if you, so for people who caught my live stream with Jeremy, who runs the Chart Cask, who lives in Virginia, is saying that they're also having a government run system in the state of Virginia, and there you can still enter the lottery for B-Tax and PAPI and that kind of stuff, and it's basically like if you win the lottery, you get like a text or an email. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just pick it up in the nearest store.
Sure.
So it's like there's pros and cons, but like, oh yeah, you don't have to go and stand in line in front of like a big liquor store for like 3 hours in the cold or like have a tent parked outside. You just have
Which
to like,
seems really nice, though. I would love to stand in line for a product like that. We don't get that here. Not many people standing in line outside of Systembolaget for the latest Jim Beam white label release. Yeah, exactly.
Trying to get in before they shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't miss that.
No, they actually at the holidays they usually have like guards outside of Systembolaget controlling who gets in and who does not.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people going for like the day before some big holiday when it's closed.
Yeah.
And there's usually a big line outside, but no, not really happy faces, just like stressed out people trying to get cheap stuff before the holidays.
Yeah. No, I've been there.
No tents.
Yeah, no tents. Just like standing in line.
For cheap beer.
Yes. Anything but like the light beer that you can buy at that or something like that. Anything better than that.
Well, there's actually a really good light beer coming now. The micro distilleries in Sweden, because of that you can't sell alcohol higher than 3.5% outside the monopoly. To get business going, they're actually looking into doing more stuff that they can sell in the regular stores, which is under 3.5. So there's some really interesting low alcohol beer coming from Sweden, actually. Yeah, I don't know the interest in other countries. I know I got laughed at in Denmark trying to go look for low alcohol beer, but there's some interesting stuff happening.
Cool. And speaking of, so I know that you have another account on Instagram. It's no secret. And you post about non-bourbons. It's white fine spirits. What's that all about? What do you actually do? Because I've seen you post a lot of different things from like Stockholm Bränneri.
Yes.
So what is that?
Stockholm's Bränneri is the first and only craft distillery inside of Stockholm city, actually.
Oh, cool.
So a part of the monopoly had to be shut down when we entered the European Union in the 90s.
Right.
So our government or the state couldn't keep the monopoly on production of alcohol. So they had to open up the monopoly on production and import and distribution of alcohol. Okay. So after 1995, anyone could apply for a license to make alcohol inside of Sweden, in Stockholm in general. But no one did actually until the founders of Stockholm's Bränneri started production in around 2 years ago, actually.
Oh, wow.
So over 10 years of no one producing alcohol inside of Stockholm city. So it's a distillery. It's the only distillery inside of Stockholm city, and we make gin. Okay. Yeah, I actually researched them when they were just starting out, because I found out that someone was trying to make alcohol inside of Stockholm city, which was really interesting to me. And I found their brand, and they were doing like a mock-up of the first bottle. This was before they even had production. Cool. And they had a super nice looking bottle, and I met them. I was invited to meet them and just to pick their brains about what they wanted to do and why they wanted to do it. This was just over 2 years ago. Yeah. And I thought really clicked, and they had some really interesting ideas, and it rhymed a lot with what I wanted to do with alcohol and the general outlook of alcohol consumption in general. Yeah. Pairing with food and working interesting with tastes as well. And we've kept in touch. And I said I would be happy to empty the trash or mail letters or do whatever. Yeah. And we kept in touch along the years. And just after I moved back from Copenhagen, we started to talk about them expanding and me coming on the team. Cool. And they were just 2 people then. Oh, and we're still just 3. So it's a really small operation. Yeah. So I've been working there for the last 2.5 months now, making what I believe, which I believed long before that, to be one of the best gins inside of Sweden, and then also, I would say, from what I've tasted, around the world. It's a super fantastic product, and it's really well packaged, and it tastes fantastic.
That's amazing. That's a
So
bold statement.
yeah, it is. But I'm having the time of my life at the moment. It's super fun working with them, and the product is fantastic, and it's going really well at the moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how does it, so in terms of like you guys getting that distributed, I'm assuming that you still have to sell it through the government, like you can produce it, but you still have to sell the actual product through like the government stores.
Yes. So the production debacle notwithstanding, because that is an interesting dilemma on its own. For the sales of the spirits to sell to end consumer, to sell a bottle to you, we have to go through the Systembolaget, of course, which is a blessing and a curse. It's really fantastic just to deal with one end distributor.
Yeah.
And they have really set rules, and they have like calculation examples on their website, so it's really clear what you can't and can't do, and how you price your products, and how you distribute them when you get inside the Systembolaget. And as of now, we're working with a central warehouse. We just ship like all our product to one warehouse, and all the Systembolagets up around Sweden just order from that one.
Oh wow, okay.
So in that case, it's super easy.
Yeah.
But we don't have much say in how we release products, or when it's at Systembolaget, it's sort of like a set foundation of rules.
Yeah.
But to sell to restaurants and bars, we do that ourselves. So that's not strictly speaking going through the monopoly.
Cool.
So restaurants and bars can pick up bottles at our locations, or we can just bike over to them with a couple of cases of gin, and that's no problem at all.
Oh, sweet.
So we're not
like
entirely
biking around.
doomed. Yeah, exactly. We actually have a Christiania bike with an electric
sweet.
motor. We just load it up with gin and go visit all the restaurants and the bars and make deliveries around Stockholm.
Oh my God. You need to post a picture of that. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely, I do.
Yeah, the Christiania bikes are awesome. They're really cool. They're really I've seen one in London, and it's like everyone is looking. It's like, that's genius. It's like, yes.
Yeah, it is.
And then everyone else is like, oh well, I can't
It's
have it.
a bit more of a problem in Stockholm than in Copenhagen, because Copenhagen is super flat.
Yeah.
And they have really good bike roads as well, so you can sit inside that box with a two-body and have a really nice time. In Stockholm, there's a lot more hills, and there's a lot less good bike streets.
Very
so
true.
it's it's not as good of a ride. But we do okay. We'll live.
Cool. I would love to try to taste some of that gin. So maybe we can swap a sample. I'll send you over some Four Roses. Maybe I'll get some of that gin.
Oh, we'll absolutely make that happen. And we're actually just now starting a relationship with a British distributor. So we just sent our first pallet of gin to the United Kingdom. So we'll see how that goes. They're really fantastic people. It's not super official yet, I think, but we really like them, and they really seem to like us. So we're hoping for some good business inside the United Kingdom. That's
amazing. You can DM me who it is, because I probably know. Because there's only a handful of distributors here, so I'll likely know someone who works there.
Fantastic.
I'll get my hands on some of that stuff. Yeah. That's amazing. I'm partial to gin. So one of my favorite gins is, when I lived in San Francisco, is the St. George's.
I've never had their gin.
No, it's absolutely. We'll have to have a big exchange of samples here as this goes on. But yeah, it's really, really good. I'll let you try some of that.
Another Dane, Hasseberg.
Oh yeah, Hasse.
Yeah, he got. I think he got a whole bottle actually. I think you've got multiple bottles. But he sent me a sample of the St. George rye, the 2-year-old rye that boutique whiskey company did a sourcing from, and that was fantastic. That was one of the most interesting and good rice I've ever tasted, actually. Yeah. And that was just a couple of years old. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sorry for fidgeting with the phone and bugging out.
All right. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Mostly I'm apologizing to our viewers, I think.
They'll just have to live with it.
Sure.
So they released another. So when I lived there, they had this B&E, which is an MGP product.
Yeah.
Released, but they've just recently released another B&E product, like an American whiskey, which is a blend. It has, I think it's both bourbon and rye, plus a little bit of single malt. So it's a true blend. It's just an American whiskey. I haven't tried it. A friend of mine who lives just a few blocks from that distillery has picked up a bottle and says like, yeah, it's really good. So yeah, I'm dying to try that because everything they do just seems to be like really well crafted. And I went to the distillery, which is like in a hangar in Almere over there, which is just like, it's just such a cool spot. And yeah, they're just super relaxed and like they just do really good stuff. So yeah, good stuff.
It looks like it, and from the one I've had, they're doing some really interesting stuff. I'm trying to does this work? I'm feeling old. I'm trying to participate with the chat here. I'm not sure I'm doing it properly.
No, you got a thumbs up there at someone.
Yeah, it's one of my oldest friends actually.
All right.
I'm not sure if he's still watching, but hey, thumbs up anyway.
How to get
this? Yeah, how to get the text field to disappear now.
That's it.
I think I'm doing something.
Instagram is messing with you.
I think my existence is messing with me.
Bobby's Windows is saying lot 40 cask, which was his same comment from last week. So I think from now on, I'm expecting you to make this comment every single week. It's a legendary, absolutely legendary Canadian rye. Have you tried the lot 40?
I have not, and I don't think. I'm not sure if Linus, the co-founder of Nordic Bourbon Community, and also the Bourbon Nerd, are my main hookups for exotic bourbon.
Yeah.
And American whiskeys, and I don't think. I'm not sure if anyone. I'm sure they've tasted it, but I don't think they have a bottle of it.
Okay.
But I've heard it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, it's basically the Canadian BTAC.
Oh,
like level. So yeah, it's really good.
In terms of quality or in terms of hype?
I'll say both. I'll say
hype.
both. Whiskey hype. There we go. Yeah, it's a hype.
Also, Henrik has tried the non-cask strength apparently.
All right. The non-cask strength I think is good. I think flavor profile for that, I would compare it to a Sazerac rye, like the BTAC, just the Saz 18. Probably less complex. It's like the lot 40 is less complex, but it has a similar profile. You can taste the age difference. But I would say, with that said, having a cask strength version of that is just it just blows my mind how good that is. So yeah, I was lucky enough to get 2 bottles from Northern Bourbon.
Yeah. The real Northern Bourbon.
Yes.
He had that handle before me, so I can't blame him. But I actually didn't know when I set my account up. But Gene is a super nice guy, and he has a fantastic collection. I'd love to meet him someday.
Yes, I've never met him. We've interacted purely digital. So yeah, someday.
Which is what you do nowadays.
Exactly. This is what you end up with. You
exactly.
You have a live stream.
Yep.
You have people watching, and then you fiddle around with your phone.
I think this works for a minute or so.
All right.
Before it goes sliding to the side.
So, I have some questions.
No.
So every week I ask just a few questions before we go in, and we have to give away free stuff as we do what we do every week. But I do have some questions because I always think it's interesting to hear what people have been exposed to and what they like. So the first question is obviously Northern Bourbon. What is your current favorite bourbon? And I say current because it can change. And like if you were to say right now what your favorite would be, and this like can be anything that you have, anything that you've just tasted. It doesn't have to be in your shelf or anything like that.
I would say I've gotten back to both Michter's Bourbon and Bullet 10.
Okay.
And I would say I cut my teeth. The first true bourbon that I had and fell in love with was Bullet Bourbon. And I've probably had many more bottles of Bullet Bourbon than any other bourbon. And I'm a huge fan of the 10-year-old because it's just more of what I love about the regular Bullet one.
Cool.
And I recently opened one of my bottles of that, and I've been really going back to that, which I like because it's not available in Sweden. I think it will be someday.
Okay.
It should be, but it just started coming around to Denmark when I moved there. So I got a couple of bottles before moving back. And also I did a tasting with Michter's in Copenhagen when I lived there. But after that, I didn't really touch any of the bottles. I made a couple of cocktails with the Michter's rye,
Okay.
but I didn't have the bourbon for, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 months after that. When I got back to it, I really fell in love with that one again. It's surprisingly good, I would say.
Yeah.
So I would say
rye-
those two at the
rye
moment.
makes an excellent old-fashioned.
Oh, absolutely, it does.
Yeah. Awesome. So
I love the puns in the chat. More puns.
Let's talk about rye. You guys
Yep.
are right. Oh my gosh. This is.
We have a fantastic audience.
Oh my gosh. People are just like, I hope you guys are laughing.
Best rye pun gets 1 million Spirits People tote bags.
Oh shit. We'll see what happens now. See if anyone is alive. Speaking of tote bags, actually, let's save that for later. I'll talk about the tote bags. So let's talk about. So we know that you know a little bit about other spirits as well. So, and this is excluding your favorite gin, because we know that you're biased. But if that wasn't in the mix, what would be your favorite non-bourbon fine spirit?
Are we talking brand or spirits category?
Let's do both. Let's do category, and then let's do brand or even bottle. The bourbon nerds, like, that joke make me cry.
I've made the bourbon nerd cry multiple times, I believe.
I think that's a story for another day.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, speaking of other gins, I've had a constant love with the Härnö Juniper cask. So it's another Swedish gin brand.
Okay.
And they actually did a bottle which they aged in a juniper wood cask.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is a super bad idea on so many levels.
Okay.
Because it doesn't hold liquid at all. And the juniper wood is if you've seen juniper wood, it's not oak at all. So it's really hard to make casks from it, and it doesn't hold liquid at all. But it makes a fantastic flavor. It's super juniper heavy, but still a really complex flavor. Wow. So Härnö, Herno with an umlaut, makes a really good juniper cask gin. I'm really fond of what's interesting at the moment. High Road Distillers from Michigan makes. Are they called High Road?
High Road.
Long Road. They're called.
Long Road.
Sorry. Yeah, I found out about them at a Aquavit festival in Copenhagen.
Oh wow!
So they're based in Michigan, and they make a lot of different spirits. But they actually made an aged Aquavit.
Oh wow! Okay.
Which is really super good.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I love that one. And they make whiskey too, and they make bourbon, but they made a beer whiskey. So they distilled beer into a whiskey, and I think they've done a couple of batches on different types of beers.
Okay.
And the one I had was amazing. So they're doing some super cool stuff. I'm a really big fan of punch, Swedish punch. Have you had that?
I'm not sure what that is. Is it?
It's
a spirit, or is it like?
I would say it's a spirit liqueur.
Oh, okay.
But it's heavy on the arrack flavor.
Okay.
So it's really.
I've not had that.
It's sweet, and we use in Sweden we use arak mainly for baking, I would say, but it makes a really good. It's an old Swedish spirit, and it's getting its way back into the cocktail scene as well.
Okay, cool.
So
Very
that's
interesting.
yeah.
I know, like, for people who are not Scandinavian here on the stream, like aquavit is quite a common, and I don't know if it's popular, but I guess it's gaining because like fine spirits are being more popular. But like in Denmark in particular, it's something that you just get really wasted on at Christmas.
Yeah.
But
And that is even more true in Sweden. But there's some really good producers in the Nordic countries that are doing something fun and interesting again with aquavit, I would say.
Yeah.
And special. So I have to give a shout out to Copenhagen Distillery, doing fantastic stuff with aquavit and also other spirits.
Solid.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually went to, this is a couple of years back now, or year and a half, 2 years. So in Seattle, there's a big Scandinavian community in the Pacific Northwest. We went to a wedding. One of my friends is half Norwegian, lives over there, and we randomly discovered this small aquavit distillery in like a warehouse in the back of, like, you have to go into a parking lot, and then like you just open up and they were like just distilling this aquavit in there, and like it was just out of this world, because like it felt to me like, oh shit, I'm like all of a sudden at my grandparents' house, but I'm at a parking lot in Seattle. And like aquavit just does that. It's just it's such a very geographically centered Scandinavian thing that like it just took me back.
I've tasted aquavit from Texas, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff being made in the United States, but I think that is often the case with the spirits, especially that are very geographically and culturally bound to a specific location or time. The most interesting stuff is almost always happening outside that place or time, I would say. I would say that is the case with gin as well. There's some really good gin being made in the United Kingdom for sure, but the most interesting stuff is made outside.
Yep.
And that is true with aquavit as well. There's some good producers here, but there's some really funky stuff happening all over the world, I would say.
Yeah. And I think I had a really good conversation actually on that point. I can't remember what we were talking about, and this is a while back, with Lee Provost, whom I've also interviewed here. So we had a chat about that, and I think it was about gin actually, because the source of the spirit is bound by tradition, whereas like from the outside, you look at it more as what it is. It's a spirit. It has potential for innovation, and it's easier to approach innovation if you're not bound by the tradition.
Oh, that's very much true. Yes, absolutely.
You look at it from the outside, and you see the potential without the boundaries of like ancient history of like, oh, this is what it should be, but more about, oh, this is what it could be. I think that's really, really interesting.
Exactly right. And it's really fun to see new culture or new people doing something with something that has been done a specific way for a really long time.
Yeah.
So we're seeing some interesting stuff there.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Free stuff.
The best part.
The best part. I don't know. This was the good part.
That's so nice of you to say.
I think this here's the sad part though. I'm almost out of old fashioned. Oh shit.
I'm going into the neat stuff from now on.
What do you have there in the bottle?
I haven't had this for a while actually. I got this before moving back. The Pure Kentucky XO from Willet.
Yeah.
So I have that and the what are they called? The other ones. I don't remember at the moment.
What's the Johnny Drum? Is that the one?
That's one of them, and also Kentucky. Is it Kentucky Vintage?
Oh yeah.
It's one of them. And also I have one version of the old Bardstown, but not the one that everyone wants.
All right.
And that's I would say okay, but this is actually really good. I think I remember that's really good.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
I'm gonna have a drink of this bad boy.
Of course you are. By the way, available now through the British Bourbon Society.
Yes. Here's a quick announcement. Oh, yes. So actually, and this is like rolling back to where we started this live stream about the Nordic bourbon community. So
Yes.
a lot of the things we talked about, like, and I was saying that both you and Linus are already thinking about a lot of the things that the British Bourbon Society have kind of gone through some of those hurdles. And like, I'm happy to connect you guys as well. Like, if you want to like pick their brains, I'm sure they'll be happy to share some ideas and like some of the learnings.
Oh, absolutely. I listened to the podcast that they all have the same first name, don't they?
Bourbon Pursuit, yeah, they were on there. They're all called Ed or Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was a really good podcast and a really good insight to like non-American associations dealing with bourbon as well. Yeah. So I'd love to pick their brains about how they've gone about making a community work with thousands of active members.
Yeah, and that brings, I mean, like, I know for a fact it brings challenges as you grow your community, and like you've worked with communities before, so you also know this. But like, my point was that they're currently the team or the admin teams, and one lucky winner who was picked by Fawn Weaver and the team at Uncle Nearest was selected to come over. So they're visiting the distillery at the moment. So if you follow them on the British Bourbon Society community group, there's a lot of pictures of those people all in the States at the moment, just hanging out, having the time of their life. So
I'm sure.
I hope the Nordic bourbon community can get to the stage of like those kind of engagements and like collaborations with brands and stuff. That would be awesome.
It absolutely would.
All right, so here we go. I'm gonna do a little flip camera thing that I do every week. And then what I'll do is, first of all, do a little like, hello. There we go. Northern Bourbon. So for anyone, look at the face below, look at the website.
So interesting. Ooh, look at that.
Northern Bourbon. Here we go. This is what you can expect from this guy who is sitting there sipping on some beautiful pure Kentucky. So check out his stream. It's awesome. There you have it. And then it's showtime. So now we get over to free stuff. Let's see if I can do this. So I do this every week. So basically, we're doing a weekly draw for a Spirits People tote bag, of which you, Mr. Erik Hesselgede, is that right?
I do.
Almost.
Yeah, sure.
You have won, and I'll give you guys an update after we have announced this week's winner. So we have 50 items on the list. So I'll zoom in a little bit. This is a learning from the past couple of weeks that you can't actually see when I'm doing this from a distance. So I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that there's 50 at the bottom. And then the first number is 2. So Erik, I need you to give me a number between 2 and 50, and that will then be this week's winner of a tote bag. Boom!
37.
37. All right, cool.
37.
I'm gonna randomize. Boom. We'll go to 37. Let's see what this says. Aha! Je
Bourbon.
Je Bourbon. Amazing.
Oh, I know him, her. I follow him, her, I think.
It's, he's in Australia.
Ooh.
I was actually, he's not on because he's probably sleeping, but I was actually chatting to this guy earlier today.
Oh, nice.
That's super random. Congratulations, Je Bourbon.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, or however you pronounce that. That's amazing.
In the Australian, I'm sure it's that exactly how he pronounces it.
I'm pretty sure that's what that's what I'm going for. So let's see here. Whatever his name is in real life, Je Bourbon has entered Spirits Tuesday a total of 7 times.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike you, Erik, you've only entered 1 time, and still you win.
Well, that's how I do it. One and done.
You only need to shoot once. You just have to hit the target, right?
That's exactly right.
All right. So let's see here. So what I'm doing right now, just making sure that Je Bourbon is added to the second list, because what we also do every list is move someone over to make sure that people can win a t-shirt. So once a month.
Yeah, that's right.
I draw for a t-shirt. However, there is a step in between. So you have to win the right to win the t-shirt, because else I was going to be out of money because I'm just funding this myself.
But you win the tote bag first, and then if you win another time, you win the T-shirt. Is that right?
So I'm going to flip the camera.
Uh-huh.
And I'll do a walkthrough because it's not 100% easy to understand, which is why I'm doing it, because I'm fucking useless. So right now we have Che Bourbon with his 7 entries and moved over. So here at the bottom here, it's really hard to actually, because it's, so we have,
oh yeah, I see that perfectly fine.
So we have the list of people who are entering. So this is the list for people who can win a tote bag. And there we have the people who've won a tote bag. And then we move over. So similar to this, you enter basically another stage of where you can potentially win a T-shirt. And then once a month, one person from this list will win a T-shirt.
Oh.
So that's how it goes.
Well, this
because
is legit.
Why would you do something that's simple and easy to understand when you can do something really complicated?
Exactly. You look smart when you do complicated stuff.
Yes. However, here we are. Okay, let's see how many there is. We have 2 is the first. And then we have 67. So a number between 2 and 67, and then I'll randomize, and then we'll choose who gets to move over to the T-shirt list, but not winning a T-shirt, but potentially winning a T-shirt next month.
I get it now. even I get it.
All right.
Okay, so you want a number from me?
Yes, so a number in between 2 and 67.
12. 1, 2.
1, 2. All right, so we'll randomize, and then we'll zoom in. All right. Whiskey Nowadays Mike gets moved over.
Yeah, man. Oh, I should have... No, I wouldn't say anything. I saw the real Northern Bourbon on that list, but it was randomized, so I can't cheat. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Whiskey Nowadays Mike, you have not won a T-shirt. However, you are on my special list. Yeah, that's it. I know what, like, I think, and I'm not sure, because I do follow him on Instagram, and I think that he just recently actually also got a job working for Compass Box.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, which is absolutely amazing. They're over in New York. I know, what's his name? Jazz is the guy who runs the Tonight's Poison. I think he's the main brand ambassador over there. But I think, don't quote me on this, but I think that Mike is actually joining that team. But who knows?
They sued a Swedish whiskey company recently.
All right.
And made them change their name.
Oh man, that happens actually quite a lot. There's a lot of brands coming out. I've seen that quite a few times actually, so I don't think it's
sure. But Bourbon Truth, what's it called? Brian Hara actually talked about that on I think it was a whiskey roundtable or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And he explained it really well, because if you have a trademark, you have to protect that trademark.
Yeah.
Which mean actually actively going out for the ones who you could interpret as to infringe on your trademark. Yeah. So you can't just make a trademark or have a trademark and then just leave it there.
Yeah.
So you have to at all times protect it. Which is why they sue. So they're not suing out of spite. They're suing because they have to, because that is part of having a trademark.
Yeah. You like, obviously you never know. Like they might actually want to do that as well, because it could be a direct competitor. But I mean, like the gist of it, because I know that few whiskeys up in Evanston near Chicago, they have their breakfast. I think it's a breakfast gin or something it's called.
Yeah.
And there was another lawsuit for another company that had said something about a breakfast whiskey or something, and there was a lawsuit as well. So yeah, I guess it's a protection thing, but it's also like, well, if it is actually competition, like you do actually want to protect your brand.
Sure, it's a good way to do it, to keep ahead of your competition.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Business.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I'm almost out actually, but cheers.
Oh shit! You just poured. I just poured. I talk too much, I think.
Well, that's nice. For me, that doesn't really talk that much.
Which is a typical. This is actually good. We've been actually at it for about 50 minutes here. This is good for a Scandinavian conversation that normally just runs for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Scandinavian people don't really say much.
Time flies, Johnny. This was super fun.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Speaking of tote bags, I just remembered. So my distributor said that they will arrive tomorrow.
Ooh.
So as soon as the tote bags arrive, I will be posting pictures up on the gram. And also a note to everyone who's won a tote bag, start sending me your addresses where this needs to be shipped. And I'll reach out to everyone as I get to it. But if you're listening, just send me your address on DM on Instagram, and I'll make sure that you get your tote bag as soon as possible.
So you send your address so we can all come pick it up at your place.
Oh yeah, that's fine. We'll have a fucking go at the cabinet here.
Ah. The mysterious spirits cabinet.
The actual spirits cabinet.
The actual cabinet.
I'll give you a sneak peek. It's a fucking mess right now, but yeah, it's all just full of random stuff. There's like
some interesting samples there as well. It looks like.
Yeah, there's some samples in there. Some old wild turkeys. There's like a bunch of. There's so much like random stuff in there. There's some pappies hidden in there as well. Oh, nice.
Do you have a like not expected favorite out of these?
I personally like, and this was actually I can't remember who posted this. I think maybe it was actually the bourbon nerd here who said the Jefferson's Ocean cask strength, which I actually really like.
I actually had half of my sample from him just the other night, and it's really good.
I think for me it's surprisingly good because I don't think Jefferson's bourbon is not bad. It's just like for me it's quite bland and it doesn't play with my profile.
Exactly.
But I think the cask strength, and the one I have is Voyage 10. They did a previous one, which I think was Voyage 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. They did one before, but I've only had the 10, which is absolutely.
But is all the ocean voyages limited, or do they have like a regular ocean and then have limited voyages? Do you know?
So the ocean, they come in voyages. So each voyage is a limited edition. And each voyage will have a different proof. So Voyage 10 is a cask strength release.
So that's only cask strength.
Yeah. So Voyage 10, you only get a cask strength Voyage 10, but then like the 9, 8, the 7, like they're all like different proofs.
Yeah.
So they're all like limited edition, and then they just like release them. But yeah, there's been 2, as far as I know, there's only been 2 cask strength versions. And yeah. The one I had is just, amazing.
Yeah, I see Henrik writes that his is the 10
one. It's the 10
as well.
I absolutely love the 10. I put in like one of those, the wine, the compression corks or whatever to suck out the air, because I really wanted to preserve that flavor, because I only have a little bit left and it's been sitting for quite a while now. So yeah, I vacuumed it. But yeah, I go to it every now and then. It's just like, it's just so good.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. All right, Erik, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. I really enjoyed it. And I hope we get to chat some more offline. And,
I hope so too. Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic, Johnny.
Awesome. Yeah, and I hope we'll chat some more on the Nordic Bourbon Community Facebook page. And if there's any Scandos out there who is not already in there, join it right now. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I don't really have to do any work here. You're doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, no, like you guys have done all the good work. I just have to point the finger like in the right direction.
I'll point the finger too after the live view is done.
All right. All right, cool. We're gonna shut it down. Thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully everyone will join next week. And
see you guys.
Peace.
Thank you for watching this episode of Spirits People Live. For more videos, check out spiritspeople.com, subscribe on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we connect you with spirits people worldwide.